What is up, comic fans? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and today I'm here with my top 10 books coming out for this week's new comic book day. It's going to be the week of May 10th, and this is a stacked week. I'm big excited for it. Let's get into it. Huge shout out to the channel sponsors, Big Time Collectibles. Be sure to follow them on social media and check out their website at bigtimecollectibles.com. They sponsor the monthly Legion Loot giveaway for the channel members, so be sure to hit that join button down below and become a member of the Legion. And if you need anything cleaned or pressed, hit up my boy Justin over on Instagram. Let him know you found him via the channel, or hit him with the promo code We Are Legion and take advantage of the special offers that he runs for viewers of the channel. Also, a big shout out to the local sponsor, the Augusta Book Exchange, my LCS, which just recently moved to a brand new location. So if you are in the Augusta area, be sure to swing through that brand new Augusta Book Exchange location. It's going to be dope. And the link to all the sponsors are in the description to all of my videos, as well as the links to Pop's Attic over on Instagram if you were looking to pick up some back issues for super cheap. All right, let's get into it. Very exciting week here. We're going to kick it off with some Marvel. Probably easily one of my top books at Marvel right now. It's Ghost Rider, issue number 14. We've got two Ghost Riders on the scene. We have Johnny Blaze with Talia Warroad having discovered the little think tank lab that is weaponizing Danny Ketch Ghost Rider and sending him on a warpath. So in order to help him, they're going to have to fight him. This is going to be a blast. This whole series has been fun so far. It had a little stinker of an issue early on, but it popped right back out of it. It has been consistently good. Great storytelling. The artwork really plays into it. I would put this run on par with like Immortal Hulk, like leaning into the horror elements, kind of being episodic per issues and everything. And Bjorn Barons is killing these covers right now. Next up, we've got Jeff Johns' Justice Society of America, issue number 4. And we have Huntress bobbing and weaving through time, dealing with Megaton. And it looks like she's finally settled on the primary timeline, on the primary Earth we normally deal with. But is it going to be enough to get all the JSA on her side to get ahead of this problem where he's killing off the entire Justice Society all through time? This has been a great read. Jeff Johns is calling back to a lot of his previous work, like the Flashpoint Beyond story that he did. And man, I cannot wait to see what he does beyond this as well. Next up, here's a huge one for this week. Easily probably my top pick for the week is going to be Green Lantern, issue number 1 from Jeremy Adams. So we're kind of picking up with Hal after the events of Dark Crisis, kind of like what we just did with Green Arrow. So they're tightening up that DC continuity with another primary hero title right here. So Sector 2814, which is the sector that Hal Jordan patrols, it's where Earth is, has been quarantined by the Guardians of the Universe, and he's been quarantined on Earth. So he's being forced to kind of return home and try to start putting the pieces of his life back together. Now, recently, myself and Mr. Paul Cook, aka Sector 2815, over on his channel, had Jeremy Adams on and spoke about this, and he said he's looking forward to doing it, that it's going to be more of like a personal touch story, kind of building Hal's life back. So we're going to be dealing with some of his personal relationships and stuff, like with Carol and everything. You already see that Kilowog's on the cover, Sinestro's right there, and it looks like Hal's world has been destroyed. His whole life is ruined, and he's blaming Sinestro for it. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. We're only going to get 2 issues before it gets into the Night Terror tie-ins for 2 issues, and then returning right after that to the primary story. So I'm excited for Night Terrors, but I'm ready to get into this Green Lantern story proper. Now, this is one of the ones where it's really going to pay off that there's backup stories in a lot of the DCU stuff right now. The backup story for this is going to be focusing on John Stewart. So we get 2 Green Lanterns in one book, and Philip Kennedy Johnson is writing the John Stewart story. Philip Kennedy Johnson, Jeremy Adams on the same book, insane. This is a must pick up. So the John Stewart story is going to be part 1 of War Journal. So I don't know how many parts that's going to go for, if it's going to spin out into John Stewart's own title. I know that John Stewart's dealing with the whole thing of being the Guardian, where he's like a central battery himself. The battery back on O was destroyed. So there's a lot of answers that we need to the context of Green Lantern. He's so far away from the status quo of his character. I'm wondering how they're going to bring him back to that. He definitely has to get back to it. How are their lanterns even charged? You know, there's some basic questions we need answered here. I cannot wait to explore it with these phenomenal writers on this title. Next up, speaking of phenomenal writers, Christopher Priest, Superman Lost, issue number 3 of 10. Here we go. Superman is now lost in space, and he's on the long journey back to Earth. We already know from the solicitation of this story that it's a 20-year quest through space, an odyssey to return home. What was only a blink of an eye for everyone back home 20 years for Kal-El. So we saw him kind of wake up after going through that black hole in the previous issues, finding the first planet he came across, getting some tools for his journey, including that awesome suit that he's rocking with the all white with the gold chest piece. And in this issue, he runs into some familiar faces and finds another planet with something odd happening. So that's all that I really caught from the solicitation. I cannot wait to dive into it. I love the dynamic of this book already and the kind of like two-story pacing of it, with seeing him recovering from returning home, as well as what happened to him in that time gap. So, man, Christopher Priest is crushing this already. Next up, we have Danger Street, issue number 6 from Tom King. Another one that's just been phenomenal. The story structure of this one is on a whole nother level, but having Orion just went back to try to recover what they were looking for and fail, we have Darkseid and Highfather coming together and deciding that they're going to put another plan in action where they know it'll come through. We also have the Manhunter taking out the Green Team, and the Outsiders are supposed to reveal their whole plot in this one. Another one that is a can't miss title right here. Heavily suggest picking this one up in trade format if you've missed it. This being halfway, they should be soliciting the first volume, because it should be coming out in 2 separate volumes to get the whole story. So definitely check your local comic shops for that one. Next up, another one from Jeff Johns and Todd Knock on the art. The final issue of Stargirl and the Lost Children. Another one that's tying in to the Golden Age characters like the JSA book. And we've had Stargirl going to face this character called the Childminder on this whole Miraclo Island. So basically, all these sidekicks lost in time have been collected on this island for a higher purpose, for another person who I will not reveal the identity because it's definitely a spoiler. But it's the big battle at the end here, and she's facing a huge choice. If she successfully defeats this Nemesis, what happens to all these sidekicks? Some of them died in their previous timeline. Some of them never existed in some timelines, but yet they're all here on this island. So she's facing one of those hero dilemmas. What's the right thing to do here? Put them back how they're supposed to be, and the unfortunate consequences of losing some of them in the process? Or is there another solution altogether? I'm excited to find out. There's some really cool characters that were created for this book that I would love to see kind of get integrated into the DCU and possibly attached to their superhero counterpart, some of which we've never seen each other. For God's sakes, Jay Garrett has a daughter in this. Like, what are we going to do with her? We can't just kill Judy. We need Judy. We need her on the Flash family ASAP. So I'm excited to see how this plays out and how it's going to fold into the bigger JSA story that's taking place right now. It's really a big week for Jeff Johns, because the next one we have the finale to Junkyard Joe. This is the second miniseries in the Unnamed War saga that Jeff Johns and Gary Frank is doing over at Image under Mad Ghost imprint. This has been a fantastic story. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it, really raving about it. But in the final issue here, we have Junkyard Joe as well as Muddy Davis there facing off with the Custodian, the shadowy character who seems to be after Joe for his own nefarious gains. We have the kids who live next door to Muddy, as well as Muddy kind of in the midst of all of this. And we also have the government finally touching base and figuring out that Junkyard Joe's out there and he's around other people, and leaving us with a cliffhanger that everyone he's ever encountered has died in his existence. So added that extra level of danger for the people around him that he even cares about. So I'm excited to see how this plays out, if the people are going to be collateral damage to this whole thing, and really how this is going to start folding in now that we have Geiger in this. I'm excited to see little elements of this timeline that Jeff Johns and Gary Frank are making start to piece together to show us the bigger picture of the Unnamed War thing. And I'm definitely excited for their next announcement for which one comes next, because they're not doing these in sequential ordering here, or chronological ordering. They're kind of just given a huge timeline with the names of all these characters or stories, and they're giving us Geiger, which was at the end. This one that's kind of in the middle. So what's next? I'm personally looking forward to Redcoat. We had a tease of Redcoat in the 80-page giant that came out after Geiger. So I'm hoping they go back and do Redcoat next. And maybe we'll get an 80-page giant after Junkyard Joe here, where they'll give us some more context to Junkyard Joe's world, as well as another tease of one of those other stories that's coming down the pipeline. Next up, Batman the White Knight presents Generation Joker. So this one I'm a little on the fence about. I'm excited to be expanding the White Knight universe some more. This one is following up on the Beyond the White Knight, the last volume, where we stepped into the Batman Beyond. At the end, we have the huge reveal that Wonder Woman's there. She's right there on the cover. They're investigating this alien in Kansas, Superman, And so I don't know how much that'll play into this. This kind of reminds me of the Harley Quinn one, where this is Sean Gordon Murphy's universe, but for the Harley Quinn one that he did, he handed the reins over to Katana Collins, who is his wife, and he kind of lays out an idea and lets her write it. And I don't believe he's doing the interiors on this either, despite having the cover art. But as you can see, Katana Collins is the first one listed. Hopefully this isn't a long one. Hopefully it's only like, I don't know, 3 to 6 issues, get in and out, get some context. What's happening here is Bryce and Jackie, the Joker and Harley Quinn's kids, are kind of going out on the walkabout, just tracking down her dad's legacy again, getting into some shenanigans and hopefully bringing him back from the dead. Hope they don't do that. Leave the Joker in the past. Why are we doing this story when we just had her do that same exact thing in the main story of the last volume? So I don't know. They use these kind of as placeholders just to keep it in the limelight and to keep people excited until we get to the next volume proper. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm excited to revisit the universe all the same. Next up, we have Wildcats issue number 7 with Grifter presumed dead. This should be a fun one. While they're mourning the loss of Grifter, he's actually in the future, in this alternate future, ruled by the Halo Corp, where he's facing off with none other than, who was it? The Void. So we'll see how this one rides out. This is a wild ride of a book right here. It's just what happens if you took a shot of adrenaline and just stuck it straight in a comic book. This is what you're getting with Wildcats. It's definitely fun. Speaking of that, though, we had the finale to Nemesis Reloaded with issue number 5. Mark Millar and Jorge Jimenez. Their finale to this masterclass, psychotic, action-packed, wild ride right here. I don't know what to say about this other than read it. Go get it. If you think you'd be fine missing out on this title, you're wrong. It is a 10 out of 10. You'll never see what's coming when you turn the page. And in the final issue here, we finally get Nemesis coming face-to-face with who has been his goal with this whole crazy scheme the entire time. And issue 5 right here has an increased price tag from $3.99 all the way to $5.99, and they promised that they had to make this book bigger and badder to squeeze it all in. So I don't know how many pages it is. I checked to try to see if I could find a page count. I couldn't find one. Maybe I can before it releases, but as of the time of filming this, I definitely could not. So it's an oversized issue for sure, though. $5.99 price tag. We're going out with a bang. Do not miss out. And believe it or not, that was number 10, but I threw a number 11 on here. Had to throw it on here. Kong, the Great War, issue number 1. I believe this is coming from Dynamite. We have back in World War II, a German U-boat crashes in the South Pacific and ends up on Monster or Skull Island, dealing with monsters above, below, and in between, and dealing with the king himself, Kong. So I'm excited to get another little King Kong miniseries here. I'm going to check this one out. I'm sure it'll be fun if you're into the giant monster kaiju stuff. Definitely might want to take a peek at that. But that's going to be it for my list for this week. Those are the top, technically 11 books I'm excited to dive into and read. Be sure to join me every Sunday night at 9 p.m. I do a live show where I review this week's books, movies, shows, and all that stuff with a panel of guests. And if you want to know what my top pick for the week and why, check out the Comic Vet over here on YouTube. We both do a one pick of the week and tell you why we're picking it up and let you know if you should consider picking it up, kind of thing. Just a blind pick going into the week. And that's going to be it for this week. Be sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what you're picking up, what you're excited about. What did I miss off this list? I know I'm just not Marvel heavy. I know a lot of people are Marvel heavy, but it's not. So there's a lot of Marvel out there I don't read, obviously. But if there's something out there, especially indie related, and you want to throw a suggestion out there, I'll try to pick it up and see if it's any good as well. But be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that join button, become a member of the Legion. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.